16, turn me up.
And just like that, we're back. Views from Section 400. Matt, Jack, and Brian bringing you guys along for the midweek show here up in Section 400. We do have the Final Four this weekend. You can see Brian and Jack decked out in their Auburn gear. I don't know, man. I'm trying to bring the energy. We have some NFL meetings to go over with some rule changes. Tush push and the Eagles, big headline. Some MLB opening day stuff. I know it feels dry because there's 162 games, but we will overreact about the Mets. At least I will. And then we'll wrap everything up here with some Final Four talk. It feels like we've been talking about the Auburn Tigers for the last 6 months.
As we
I
should.
don't know what Brian and Jack have left. See, look at them. I don't know what they have left to talk about this Auburn team. But we'll get their final reactions, final previews, headed into a huge weekend down in San Antonio for the Final Four and obviously, eventually, the national championship. We'll jump into it next after a word from SeatGeek.
I'm going to keep this very simple. I know you're not used to seeing my face during the ad read. Well, this is important, so I'm here. If you live within 7 hours of the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, go to SeatGeek right now on your phone or your computer, on your tablet. I don't care. Go to the Final Four, purchase however many tickets you want, and use code ViewsFrom400 at checkout. Get $20 off. Get to the Alamo Dome to cheer on the Auburn Tigers. Be loud, be rowdy, and get ready to see us cut down some nets. War Eagle. Code ViewsFrom400.
I try to hold that in as long as possible.
I'm keeping it in. I'm the editor today.
Oh, stop it.
You're the editor today?
Yeah, it's Will's birthday. I gave him the night off.
Thanks to SeatGeek. As always, use the code, get the discount. Pretty simple. We'll jump into some NFL meeting talk here. Obviously, the big takeaway, well, there's some rule changes, but the big takeaway, the thing we need to talk about is the Tush push gaining steam to be banned. It hasn't been banned. They've tabled it. They've pawned it off, so to speak, to another meeting. But it seems like it's gaining speed. And Green Bay Packers are everything to blame here. I mean, they're the ones who brought it up. They're the ones who started it. I saw somebody on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, called them the lawnmower parents. They mow down the grass to make sure that their kids can have fun. I don't know why. I guess it sounded better when he said it. But yeah, I call more the helicopter parents. They're right there just trying to make sure they take the rule away so that the Packers can compete. To be fair, in that first round, they only lost 22-10 to the Eagles. The Eagles steamrolled, I guess the Rams too, but they basically steamrolled that playoffs. The Packers game might have been the closest. I don't know if you guys remember. The Packers had the ball down 6 and could have drove down the field and took the lead in that playoff game. So
they missed some field goals too, right?
Yeah, they did butcher a couple, but either way, the Packers were competitive in that game, and the Tush push I don't think is the ultimate reason why they lost. Jordan Love threw a couple picks, and the Eagles defense played really well. So I don't know why them losing that game is all right, out of spite, let's go ban the Tush push. It's weird stuff. It's gaining steam. I still don't think they're going to ban it.
Would you be mad if they banned it, Matt?
I think the Eagles can still win with or without the Tush push. I would be mad that the NFL is getting rid of something because a team is so good at it and the rest of the league can't stop it. So they get rid of it because that's what they have to do. They didn't throw Tom Brady away because he was checking the ball down 24/7 and winning 6 Super Bowls or whatever many Super Bowls at it. No, Brian, don't get
the tuck rule.
They created the tuck rule, but they didn't take checkdowns away and said Tom Brady has to throw the ball 10 yards or more because the team can't figure out the check down. And that's what I would be annoyed about is, they can't stop it. Other teams are doing this. They're attempting the tush push, and they're not executing it. The Eagles are executing it, And everybody's pissed. That's what I would be mad about. The Eagles can win with or without it. I'm not too worried about that. It's more of, let's stop being fucking crybabies.
I don't know. If they ban it though, there won't be a little part of you that's like they banned a play because we were too good at it. Like that's cool.
Look, did the Eagles win the Super Bowl because of the tush push? No. And that's why, it's annoying because they created it. They executed it well. Everybody said the tush push is going to suck because Jason Kelsey retired. If anything, they got better at it and ultimately won the Super Bowl. It would be annoying because they're banning something that other teams can't stop, and everybody's going to cry and say, we can't stop it, so get rid of it. That's the part that's going to annoy me. It'll be a cherished play that'll go down in history that, I'll be able to tell my kids about and have great stories as a grandfather to my grandchildren is what it is. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to be like, it's more just like the rest of the teams and their owners are a bunch of little bitches.
I think you have every right to feel that way. Outside looking in, I don't really have too many opinions on the tush push right now. I haven't seen a whole. The only thing I was thinking of from the beginning when we even started this play was the injuries, diving at the knees and the ankles. I don't think there's data that shows that there's like a heightened risk of injury, so I don't really care. What I would say, though, from the outside looking in, it'd be pretty cool to have that just as part of Eagles lore. The tush push got banned because we were so good at this play. I think that just adds to your franchise and the history of it. I think that'd be pretty cool.
For sure. I agree. Look, it isn't banned yet, so I don't want to get into that mindset of it being banned. I guess once ultimately, I think in May they're going to vote on it. I could be wrong on that, but when they have an official ruling on it, and let's say it does get banned, I think I can maybe give a better reaction on how I feel. At the moment, like I said, I just think the owners are being crybabies about it. Like you brought up the injuries, there hasn't really been any injuries. I could see where there'd be a heightened risk, but if you look at data, statistics, whatever you want to call it, of okay, here's 25 tush push plays, and here's all the injuries because of it. That doesn't exist.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll ever be banned. I think what they'll do, and I've heard people saying this while I've had to listen to this whole saga, you used to not be able to push somebody from their back on offense to basically push them forward to get an extra yard. And that happens a lot on this play, and it's hard to see because it's such a scrum. But I think they'll do their classic. We're going to put an emphasis on seeing players push another ball carrier in the back, and it'll be like a 5-yard penalty. I could see that happening.
Since when has there been a rule where you're not allowed to do that?
It used to be like that, and then they got rid of it. I don't know when. Probably like 2010.
It used to be like that. It used to be like that. They got rid of it. And it's the same thing, right? So if you ban the tush push, say, it's just out of example, it's 1st and 10, the running back runs 7 yards, and you see the 2-0 lineman run downfield and push the pile, and he gets the first down. Is that now illegal?
That's what I'm saying.
You're going to have to ban that too.
You're going to have to ban that. And
but that's
you see
what I'm
every
saying.
play do that.
I've been seeing that for decades. Was there ever a rule against that?
Yeah, it was. It must have been changed way early when we were growing up, but it was a thing.
Yeah, I was just saying because that's football right there. So that's second effort. Getting the big offensive linemen, scariest people on the field, charging downhill, trying to pick up a block, or even if I'm a ball carrier and someone just pushes me forward like that, I'm getting bowling balled. I mean, that's cool. That's football. We want to get rid of that. That sucks.
That's what they want to do. Haven't made a ruling on it yet. Happens in I think May, like I said. So we'll get an update on that in the coming months. But what is official, I think, are some rule changes. I will read the list of rules off that we do have, and then we can power rank the rules on which ones we like the best and which ones we maybe don't like the best. But rule number 1 here that has been passed: both teams possess the ball in overtime. The initial rule, I think, was proposed for 15 minutes, but it's still 10 minutes. Do I have that correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
But now both teams will possess the ball regardless of a touchdown or field goal, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of counterintuitive. I mean, 10 minutes is long enough, but now you're going to see a lot of teams try to, and you might see the Eagles do it, play 4-down football, just run the ball and milk the clock and kick the field goal so the other team can't get the ball.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you can always change and like any rule change. There's always going to be a team trying to take another angle. So it's like at what point do we just let it go, man? Let them
I just want
play.
to just go to
No,
college overtime. It's so much fun.
I think this will be a good change, and instead of the coin toss, whoever wins the coin toss electing to receive, I think you're going to see a lot of teams electing to defer and kick, giving the other team the ball first to see what they need, and that's a lot like college in the sense of, do they
Yeah.
get stopped? All right, we only need a field goal. Do they score the touchdown and go for like just the 1 point? All right, screw it. Let's score the touchdown, go for two, try to end it right there. Go for the win or instead of the tie. Yeah, I think it's a great rule change. I don't
Yeah.
know if it'll be number one on my list, but it's definitely a phenomenal rule change.
Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers are going to be practicing. We want the ball second for the first full week of training camp.
It might be.
Yeah, them.
I think
I know Josh Allen's happy as shit.
yeah, that's where this all kind of started, right? The Chiefs Bills crazy ending game, and then we all wanted it to continue, and they didn't. Well, I'm not even going to get into that thought. Anyway, rule number 2: hits on a defensive player, grabbing the face mask, performing a horse collar tackle, tripping, running into or roughing the kicker can now be reviewed. Uh, you know, this is going to be good and bad. Good because the calls that shouldn't be called will get overturned. And then when we need the 15-yard penalty and they get the bullshit call and now it gets reviewed and you don't think about that. How many teams get bailed out by a bad 15-yard call and they ultimately either end up driving down the field, scoring a touchdown, winning the game? I think people are going to have a love-hate relationship with this one.
Yeah, I like this, but the only issue I have with it is it's kind of like goaltending now in college basketball where they have to call it to review it. So you're going to see a lot of I think we're going to see a lot of replays that shouldn't happen. And hopefully they do like the expedited replay. That's the word. Where they just like take it from Secaucus and then 5 seconds. They're like, okay, it's a penalty.
Yeah, that is the love-hate part. There's going to be a lot more reviews, a lot more replays, a lot more stoppages. No one wants to ever see that. Let the boys play. Let's keep the game moving along. But to be fair, I mean, this I always think about how the Saints got absolutely screwed by the Rams with that PI call. Like, plays like that should be reviewed. They should be overturned, and we should get on with it. There's no reason that happened and the refs didn't call anything. So, we can't go back and review it now. That is so stupid to me. Everybody in the entire world who was watching that game could see that was a problem, that shouldn't have been called the way it was actually called on the field. Switch it. Like, there shouldn't be rules against that.
I agree. Rule number 3: the NFL also announced it will utilize Sony's Hawkeye. I didn't even know that was a thing. The cameras to measure first downs in 2025. The cameras will effectively replace on-field chain gang measurements on crucial plays. The kicker that I did see, though, the chain gang will still be there as a backup.
You can't
for whatever reason.
You can't have the chain gang union suing Roger Goodell for replacing them with essentially a camera.
No, you can't. Whatever. Does this make it more effective and more efficient? Sure. I'm all for it. Move on.
I mean, we've been going by the yellow line that's unofficial for the past decade. It's pretty damn official, so might as well just actually go by it now.
Yeah, it's super close. But rule number 4: touchbacks moved to the 35-yard line, incentivizing maybe some shorter kicks, some pop-up kicks, whatever you want to call it. Just so we don't sit there and waste a play.
Let's go.
You don't want to have a team start at the 35-yard line.
No, you don't.
You kick it out of bounds, they start at the 40. So this should incentivize, some more action on a play that everybody claims we need more action on.
Yeah, we do. I mean, it was ritualistic last year. They were like, even though it was a 30-yard line last year, it's a 35 now. I mean, 5 yards, it doesn't seem like too much, but they've been moving it out. I still remember when it was the 20. So the 35 is 15 yards from where it used to be not too long ago. I think coaches really are going to take that into consideration, make sure that their kickers kick it into play. It's going to be fun. I mean, we want to see more returns. It's my favorite rule change.
There are NFL kickers getting paid multiple millions, or at least some of them multiple millions of dollars. They should be skilled enough to place the ball at the 5-yard line or the 10-yard line. Make the kick returner make a judgment call on, hey, do I let this bounce and go into the end zone? Or, hey, do I got to field this? And now I'm returning it from the 5-yard line, and hopefully I can get to the 35. It makes the play more exciting, for sure. It does. And I'm here for it.
I hate it. Get rid of kickoffs. Or make them kick it from their own, 20. And just try to bomb it as much as they can. Then if they get a touchback, it makes it more fun. I don't know. I still don't think we're going to see much of a change. And if we do, we're going to see a lot of squib kicks. And then what happens? It doesn't matter. I guess you can't even do a squib kick
That's
anymore.
Exactly what we're going to see is a squib kick.
Yeah, you can do squib kicks.
Yeah, but if you do, and it hits your own guy.
I mean, again, to Matt's point, these are NFL kickers getting paid millions of dollars.
Yeah, but there's the wall now. You expect them to squib it through? They got to 5-hole their own guy.
They'll be able to.
They don't have to 5-hole their own guy. They can put it over his head, Brian. Just drop it in the bucket. Lay it in there.
Yes, that's a tough kick.
They're skilled enough to figure it out. And shit, if they're drilling a line drive at the player's head, I'm here for it.
Brian, they got 6 months to figure, 5-6 months to figure it out. All off season, they get paid millions of dollars. I think they can figure it out.
They can.
Let's make this fun.
Grumpy. AJ Minter just balked. How does that happen?
I don't know. Getting a crunch time for the Mets. But, yeah, that's the 4 rules. I don't know, man. I think I like the OT one the best, touchback second, defensive player third, and the Hawkeye for me is not that I don't like it. It's just, okay, whatever. I thought the way they were measuring shit before was fine. Didn't sway anything too good or bad, so.
There was that play. Was it the Bills-Chiefs game that the Bills looked to get a first down, and for some reason they didn't give it to him?
Yeah, it's whatever for me, man. I don't know. That's my rankings, Brian or Jack. How you guys stacking these new rules up?
I'm stacking them same as you, except I'm flip-flopping the OT and kickoff rules. Simply just because there's so many kickoffs in an NFL season. This is hopefully going to make them more fun like they used to be. And, OT, during the regular season, it happens, but I don't think it's nearly as often. So I feel like this rule may only be implemented a handful of times this season.
I'm going cameras first, purely.
Yep.
So
knew
baseball.
It was going to be something just outrageous. Knew it.
Nerd.
Purely so baseball can see it work and then go to the automated strike zone, or at least the challenges, because they did those in spring training and they worked fine, and they just got rid of them for the regular season. I'll go overtime rules second.
Wait, hold on. You're treating the NFL like your mistress here. Like you're just trying to get some experience, bring it back to your wife, the MLB. I don't really like the way you're treating the NFL right now.
Everybody looks at the NFL. The NFL is king. So, if it works in the NFL, baseball is going to be like, well, we have to do this now.
Okay. All right. Well, at least you called the NFL king.
They are. There's a reason we talk about football for 75% of this show.
There's no correlation, though. Like, the MLB already has the system and the cameras in place and just proved the concept in spring training. They do not need the NFL for this.
Well, they didn't bring it to the regular season because they're hesitant about it. So they see it worked in the NFL, and then they're like, all right, well, if it works for them, it could work for us.
I see the angle you're trying to take. I don't think they're going to be taking it into consideration.
I think baseball is that dumb where that's exactly what they'll be taking into consideration.
And
We'll
Brian,
see.
are you talking about the automatic balls and strikes?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which you
the
don't
whole
even need to
system's
have.
already in place.
What
Like,
about the
it doesn't
umpires
even-
union?
No,
You're
it
talking
will
about the
still
chain
be
gang
called.
union. What about the
It's
umpire union?
It's still called by umpires, but you can
Yes.
challenge every call, basically.
Did you see any of the spring training, Jack?
I did, yeah. I think it was Jazz Chisholm
Yeah, you just
on the
tap your
Yanks, like
helmet.
tap
They
the
do a quick
helmet, and
review.
It's like
very
tennis.
quick. Yeah, tennis has mastered this for almost 2 decades, and nobody followed them.
Yeah, because it's tennis. It's not the NFL.
shout out
International
tennis.
sport.
All right, Brian. After
Some
the
like it,
cameras,
some don't.
After the cameras, it's overtime. Although I just go to college overtime or some semblance of college overtime. Start at the 50, and then I'll go penalties and then touchback.
you do a touchback just to spite me. I already know it. It's a great
Just
rule.
don't.
Yeah, the cameras first, I think, is wild, but I know Brian's tried to save it with an MLB angle, so whatever. But I think Jack and my list, or Jack's list and my list, are probably where most people, the Gen Pop, so to speak, would be aligned.
All right. Well, you know what? We'll do an honorary 4 and 400, and we'll post a graphic, and people can vote on this after the episode.
Sure,
Fair enough.
I like that a lot. But that's the NFL meetings. Not too exciting, other than if the Tush Push had a ruling, I think we would have been a little more had a little more reaction or a little more excitement from it. But yeah, everybody's just kind of gearing up for this draft, and then ultimately the Tush Push ruling feels like a murder case right now, the way this is going. But that's what it kind of is. So we will wait and see what happens there. We now roll into some MLB talk. Here, we're just about or almost through the first 2 full series of the year. We can kind of go through some of the standings here. I know my Phillies have started out, we could call it hot. 2 dud of opponents they played in the Nationals and Rockies. So kind of a wait and see. The Dodgers come to town this weekend. We'll get a true test of where this team is. But a nice soft opening 2 series for the Phillies. The Mets are down 4-1 in the final game of their second series to the Marlins. Might drop to 2-4. The Astros haven't been all world. You know, the Giants have been playing well against them. So I won't say, you know, the Astros are not what they used to be. Don't get caught up with the name. The Mets, I think, should have won that series. And then for sure should have won the series against the Marlins. I know that game is late in maybe the 8th or 9th inning, but
We'll
they are
call it a
down
loss.
4. We can call it a loss, so Brian can hopefully jinx it. I know what he's doing there, but yeah, the Mets in danger of falling to 2-4 before heading back to Citi Field. Not the way these rowdy LGM Met fans were expecting the team to come back, Brian.
I'll tell you what I told you before we started recording.
I know. Here we go.
They just want to get home. Lindor just had a baby, was flying all over the place. They spent 30 days in spring training, and now they got to start on the road trip. I would be more worried about this start if the pitching was the reason they're losing. It's the hitting, and I know they're going to hit. We know Lindor doesn't wake up till May anyway. I would like it if it wasn't that way, but that's just who he is. Juan Soto is going to hit. Pete Alonso is going to hit. Brandon Nimmo is going to hit. They're all going to hit. And yes, Mark Vantos will hit. I'm not worried about it. If you talk to me at the end of the month and they're sitting at, I don't know if they've lost 5 series in a row, then maybe it's time to slightly push a panic button. But they're 2-4. Last year they were 0-5. So it could be worse.
Yeah, it's still really early in the season, so we gotta, we can always have our takeaways and get excited, but we gotta remind ourselves that there's 162 of these puppies, and not to get too crazy too early on.
Yeah, it's annoying because you want to take jabs and shots at the Mets, and we absolutely can, right? The batting lineup has
Sure.
been horrid,
Terrible.
horrific,
You can't.
terrible.
No one's hitting. Pete Alonso's the only one hitting, and he's not even really hitting.
Right. So, it's 162 games. They have played six of them. You know, you can't get into it too much. And maybe next week I'll have some more reaction after the Dodger series. It's a massive series early on in the year. I kind of hate that it's this early. I would have liked it in maybe May or June, but of course we get it in fucking the first or second weekend of April. Um, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's the first couple series. The Phillies, they win tonight or win as we're recording, win on Thursday. Um, they look good, I guess. I can't even formulate an opinion. Like the Phillies will be good this year. They'll hit. The pitching already looks electric. The bullpen is coming on strong. It's not idle mode, but hold them accountable through the year, and then we get to October.
Well,
Yeah.
I think you said it really well in the beginning. You got the Dodgers this weekend, 7-0 Dodgers team. Like, yeah, that's a great benchmark. Even though it's early on in the season, if you lose the series, it's not the end of the world. You win it, you're not the best team in the world, but it's still a good benchmark because when two great teams are playing against each other, two playoff teams, you guys didn't meet up last year, but you could have. Shout out the Mets, but I think they're going to have a heightened sense of let's get after it, even though it's early on in the season.
Yeah,
And
I mean, Brian, I'll let you go.
well, I was gonna say I have good news for you, me, and everyone else in the NL and AL. The last team to start 7-0 that won the World Series the year before was the New York Yankees in 1933, and they didn't win the AL that year. So there's some good juju going on. At least if the Dodgers lose tonight, they do play the Braves, who, if you want to overreact about a team, the Braves are a team you can overreact about being bad.
Yeah, Braves 0-6. Jerks Profar, who they signed to a $40 million contract over 3 years, suspended 80 games. Yeah, I mean it's dreadful. To be fair, Padres and Dodgers. That's a tough two series to open the year. 0 and
Yeah.
6 is bad, but
It's
it's
more
still tough.
concerning with the Profar news, and then now you have Ronaldo Lopez go to the IL with a shoulder issue, and you never like to hear shoulder. Shoulder's almost as bad as elbow nowadays. They got some things to figure out.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, look, you never want to be the only winless team in the sport at any point, and they can say that, very unproudly. But there's time for them to come back. Profar will come back this season. He's not suspended the entire season. So, are we out on the Braves? They're still going to be a playoff team.
Profar
They
will be back at the end of June. I mean, he's gonna have July, August, and September. I mean, it's people are acting like this guy's out for the year.
Yeah, you have to be careful. At 0-7, like if that falls to 0-12, 0-13, that is a hole, an early hole you got to dig out of. So you gotta fix it quickly.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, dude. Trust me. 0-7 is one thing. 0-14 is a whole nother thing. I'm switching my graces after that.
I mean, you got to
You're
think about it though. To start your season off, and I'm not trying to defend the Braves and their annoying fan base, which always just thinks they're winning the World Series and continues to choke in the playoffs. And now we're seeing choke to start the year. But two series on the West Coast before you even get to April 1st or middle of April, like that's not the way. If you're a fan, like if I'm a fan of the Phillies and the Phillies are starting out on the West Coast, I'm pissed.
Oh
well,
yeah. Now, whoever made this schedule, I'm pissed. Starting me out in San Diego and LA playing two of the best teams in baseball. No, no, thank you.
I think I'd rather have it first than like two September series.
Give me one home series against, I don't know, the White Sox before sending me out there. Like, let me get a couple of wins for the fans so they don't think we're trash. So we don't have to start 0-6.
Yeah, I don't know, man. At the West Coast to start the year is wild.
Yeah,
Why
it
don't you
is
just make
kinda
them play
weird.
each other?
And the Braves
Yeah,
play
right?
in Florida too, so it's not like they were in Arizona and they just had
No,
to fly over.
no. That was like, that's a team that needs to get home and sleep in their own bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, Braves are in shambles, like we said. Phillies red hot. Mets pitching isn't the problem, is what Brian likes to tell himself. The NL East is where
Factually
it
true
is.
right now.
I mean, dude, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Losing a series to the Marlins, and you're just going to say, "Up, pitching isn't a problem."
The pitching
Won
hasn't
in
been a problem.
62
The pitching has
games.
done well. They haven't been able to hit. They didn't score enough runs.
I mean, the Marlins are about to be 5-2. I don't know who they played in their first series, but
I'm not
Pirates.
sure. But Pirates, yeah.
oh, okay. Well,
4 runs to get 4-1, 5-1. It's a lot of runs, Brian.
You should be able to score 5 runs against the Marlins pitching staff.
You should. You absolutely should, but they aren't at
No,
the
they're not.
moment.
That's the issue.
And that's part of the issue. You want to get into some of this minor league stadium talk because, it's one thing if we have one team doing it, we have 2 teams doing it. I'll give my opinion and see what you guys think. The Rays doing it at the Yankee Stadium, I think it's horrible. I think it's stupid, and I don't like it. The Athletics, West Sacramento, where the Kings play, bringing a pro team to Sacramento. I don't hate it as much. I can live with the Athletics in a AAA or AAA minor league, whatever you want to call it. That's my take. I don't like the Rays one. The Rays need to figure something out, but the A's, I can live with it, man.
Yeah, the A's got to find a beam and light it like the Kings do, and then I'll be all in on the A's in Sacramento. I don't know if any of the books are offering this, but if you can find it, whatever the home run record is for a season in baseball, with the Torpedo bats and with the 2 minor league stadiums in play, I kind of like the angle of whatever the league to break the all-time home run record this year. If you could find a line, and I might look for a line and try to take it.
It's going to be an underground book. I don't think any major bookmakers are going to have something like that. It seems like they should.
you're going to have to call someone directly for that one. Yo,
Yeah.
FanDuel, hit me up with this one.
They'll probably make it for you.
They might. You never know, and they'll go to their odds makers. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I think it's a bad look for MLB that they're throwing, pro ball clubs or MLB level teams in these stadiums and just kind of being okay with it. So I don't know.
And most people couldn't even see it on opening day because MLB TV was down. And then they offered subscribers $20 off the MLB shop.
Which is I think worse than a fucking pity party.
It is. I do want to, before we get off of the home runs, and I know we talked about the Torpedo bats in the last show. I do want to shout out my guy, Iwahirio Suarez. Definitely just butchered his name. But
Iohinio.
I think it somewhat said his name right then. Iwahirio? Iwahirio?
Iohinio.
Peach Cheerios.
Iwahirio.
I don't know, man. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the Diamondbacks third baseman. He has 5 hits this season, and they are all home runs. There's been 2 other players to do that to start a season in their career. We had Rodolfo Castro, who was, I believe, had a cup of tea with the Phillies. He did it with the Pirates in 2021.
Starting second baseman for the AAA team.
And Rob Deere in 1992 with the Brewers. Deere had 32 home runs that year and 97 hits. So a third of his hits were home runs.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Good for that guy. The only takeaway I had was for his grand slam last night. There's nothing I love more than watching the New York Yankees get bit in the ass by their own Little League stadium. I mean, that killed them last night. I know it's early in the year and one loss, whatever, but the Little League stadium is why they lost that game. Any other stadium that's a routine pop-up, they're up 4-2 going into the 8th inning. Or going to the bottom of the 8th or bottom of the 7th, whenever that happened. That grand slam was late.
Yeah, I think it was in the 8th inning.
Yeah, so Yankees get killed on their own Little League World Series or Little League Stadium. Love to see it.
Yeah, I had that game on last night. The Yanks loaded the bases. It was like I think they had 2 walks before that grand slam, and you just can't have that. I think now whoever Boone brought in to pitch, it was just a terrible decision. The first
It was
2 guys.
Tim Hill was the lefty, then they brought in Leiter Jr.
Tim Hill, God bless him, but he got lit up in his two at bats, and then they pulled him right after.
I think Leiter Jr. led up the grand slam.
Yeah,
and then I'm not sure where it kind of went from there, but
absolute collapse by the Yankees. Love to see it.
Jack Leiter, by the way, a good start to the year. Maybe he's finally going to figure it out.
Yeah, I saw he got pulled early, though, for an injury today, no?
Was it an injury? I thought they just pulled him the pitch count, but maybe it was an injury.
He had a DTD next to his name right after the start.
No, brother.
So, I don't,
Injuries
maybe I take back what I said. He 2 starts, and he has like a 1 ERA through the season. He had 6 strikeouts today, going toe for toe with Hunter Green.
Oh, so it was an injury, but it says a blister on his pitching hand.
Oh, yeah, those can be annoying, though. So maybe he'll miss a start, but he's fine.
Miss a start, I think, is worst case scenario. The only other thing we can kind of really get into here, and again, it's so early, what can we really talk about? What would be, not early winners and losers, but like early surprises, and then early like, teams you thought might be good that suck. But I guess we kind of covered that with the Braves, 0-6. Nobody was expecting that. And then the Marlins are a couple outs away from being 5-2. Who everybody we did their preview, and we were like, this is going to be one of the worst teams in baseball, starting out fighting for first place.
Yeah. Oh, Pete Alonso just hit a FU 3-run shot. We're tied.
No way.
Yeah.
No way. That's huge for
fantasy. Yeah,
fantasy.
he's on your team, so I can't even I'm gonna cheer for it, but that does suck for me at least. Yeah, it's not a 60-game season, so the Marlins will not be anywhere near the playoffs. They're not going to get bailed out by that again.
Well, to be fair, 2 years ago they played the Phillies in the first round, and that was or the wild card round, and that was 162.
Yeah, but they still had Kim Yang.
Yes,
definitely butchered that name too. But they were still trying to be competitive, and now they've just said we're going to sign all of these minor league guys to major league deals and throw out a AAA team in a big stadium, not a AAA stadium. They should be playing in a AAA stadium.
Yes.
But I'm not worried about – I guess I am worried about the Marlins, at least for Marlins fans.
I agree.
Yeah, I think the only other team, Matt, to answer your question, the only other team that I'm looking at that is sort of outdoing expectations, San Francisco Giants, man. Starting 4-1, kind of putting belt to ass against Houston. Got to give them some credit, man.
Yeah, shout out our guy Steve, friend of the
program.
Shout out
Steve.
Big Giants fan. And it is an even year. So he was saying earlier to us that even year Giants, maybe they're back.
Maybe.
See, what's going to be great, though, is the Mets are going to do this whole song and dance. They came back, this, that, and the third, and then they're going to lose, and then blow it and walk off fashion.
Yeah, they already used Minter and Stanek, too, so they got...
who's coming in now to save the day for the New York Mets?
They'll bring in Edwin, and then it's going to get iffy because you had Kranick pitch 3 innings yesterday. So bullpen's not exactly
really well. Kranick looked good.
And I'd like to say, for those that have been following along for 2 years now, in last spring training, I did have a whole blog about Max Kranick and how I believe in Max Kranick, so I would love to see him pan out.
Yeah, dude, he looked, I won't say electric, but like 3 scoreless innings.
He throws a lot of pitches, and he throws
Yeah.
them. If he locates them, who knows? I'd like to see him over Tyler McGill in the starting rotation.
Really? So you're going, hey, let's get this guy as a starter.
Eventually, once you get rid of the Tyler McGill, April Linsanity run. Happens
Fair.
every year.
Yeah, the only other team I was going to say, like, we talk about the Dodgers being undefeated, but the Padres are also undefeated. We'll see which team lasts longer. Everybody's
Yeah.
going to take the Padres, but maybe everybody's going to
You
take the
mixed it up, yep.
Dodgers. Yeah, maybe the Padres beat them out there. But I know, not a very exciting MLB segment. It is always fun to take jabs at the Mets, and I don't know. We'll wait and see when Brian is ready to push the panic button on one of the top payrolls in baseball, one of the top lineups in baseball. On paper, not so far to start this year. But let's
Listen.
jump.
I'm
Oh.
growing as a sports fan here. I didn't push the panic button on Auburn, so it's going to take a lot for me to push the panic button on the Mets. I saw what happened last year.
What hole did the Mets have to go in for you to be rattled? Like, I know you talked about series at the end of April, but like, what is the legitimate number? Since you're the numbers guy, the stats guy, what number do the Mets have to be at? Where does it have to be? What month does it have to be? Like, where is it where it's like full, legitimate, full blown, like
It's a
you're
great
fucking
question.
rattled, you're panicked?
I think July 4th is still a little bit early, but if we're in like mid-July and they are under 500, I will be panicked. But if they're at the 500 mark and like on like July 4th, that was where they were last year, they could go on that run. I guess it also depends, like, what are the other teams doing?
So what
Let
is
me-
what does under 500 mean? Like 10 games under, 5 games under if they're 1 game under mid-July? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, it's like that's the cutoff. They can be 500. If they're anything under that 500 mark, I will be worried.
Let me ask you this,
That
Brian.
wasn't the question.
Let's
The
bring
question
it
was
in.
rattled.
Okay, well, rattled, it would be like 10 games out of a playoff spot, and we're almost at August.
Yeah.
Then I'll be panicked.
Okay, let me try and bring this a little bit closer to right here, right now, April 2nd.
Please do.
10-20, 30 games in. Are we rattled?
Brian's already
10 and
explained it.
20?
Doesn't
10
the
and 20.
the
Are we
first 2
rattled?
months don't matter for Brian. The first 3 months
I'd be
don't matter.
disappointed, but I'm not rattled.
Brian's
10 and
he's not
30.
watching. He's
10 and
not
30,
watching.
yeah, that would rattle me.
Okay, 10-30. So 40
Brian's
games in
not
for 10 and
watching.
30.
I mean, if they're 20 games under 500 at any point this year, yeah, I'm going to be rattled.
Brian turns the games on on July 4th weekend is when he watches.
Have you not seen me look over my shoulder 10
Yeah,
times?
but that's
this
when you
podcast
start
already?
caring.
I mean, I care. It's just like it's not as deep if they lose. They're still
You
figuring
don't
it out.
hold the team accountable like I hold the Phillies accountable.
I guess not. No.
All
Yep.
right, last
That's fine.
question I have here. Through 80 games, what is the worst record you could have and be like, yeah, we still can do it in the second half here?
500.
35 and 45.
Okay, so that 10 games under 500 is kind of where I'm hearing your breaking point is.
That's around where they were last year. I think that the worst it got was like 12 or 13, and then they went on their run.
Okay.
But you can't get closer to that.
Gotcha. It's good to know. It's good to know.
What the hell? Yeah, they're already about to lose.
Why?
There was an infield single, and the guy just got to third base. Edwin must have thrown it into the dugout on a pickoff or something.
No outs?
Yeah.
No, dude. Oh, brother.
Oh, Mets.
Yeah. Oh, Mets is a great way to put it. The only other thing I had to say is like Kyle Freeland is dealing right now, and he dealed in his first start. So
That's a guy that he needs to figure it out. He's been around forever.
He's been a 5+ ERA guy for the last I don't know how many years, and has I think he started like four or five opening days coming off 5 ERAs. It's wild. I
It's
know
the
the
Rockies
Rockies
for
are
you.
the
It's
Rockies are
insane.
really bad, but it is pretty wild. All right, enough of the baseball talk. Enough of just in case anybody was wondering, Edwards stole the bag, and then he threw a wild pitch. So
Okay.
Diaz in some real trouble to start the ninth. I don't think he's a good pitcher. Brian loves him. We can leave that at that. We'll go into some Final Four talk now, where I could probably just hop off the show and let Brian and Jack go on and on about the Auburn Tigers. All right, the Final Four preview. We have Auburn, we have Florida, we have Houston, and we have Duke. My gut really is telling me, and I know you guys will like this, I think it's going to be Auburn-Duke. I really do in the national championship. I like Florida. I like Clayton Jr. I think just like Auburn might just be a little too strong. What a pick 'em though. What do you guys got? I know we've said everything and anything about not only these teams but specifically Auburn. I'll give you guys the floor.
Yeah, well, I figure Brian has a rant for us, so I'm gonna let him go, and then I've got plenty of things to say, but like you said, Matt, I've said a lot of them already. Brian, you take it.
Yeah, so I'm still trying to figure out my background with the whiteboard, but you guys can kind of see it if you're on the YouTube. It simply says now prove it. Auburn has been the best team in the country for most of this year. There was a lull, and I'm not going to pretend like there wasn't a lull when honestly Florida, Duke, and maybe even Houston look better than Auburn. And you're seeing it on the books right now. Auburn is the 4th favorite to win this tournament. With all of that, there's a reason you had 16 quad one wins in the regular season, and now you're at 19, I believe. Yeah, every tournament win should be a quad one win. You are the most battle tested team in this thing. I'm worried about Florida. In my prediction of what Auburn would do in this NCAA tournament that I wrote for Auburn Wire, I said they'd make it to the Final Four and they'd lose to Florida. My brain is still telling me this Florida team with Walter Clayton Jr., with Alex Condon, and with Thomas Houck just matches up super well with Auburn, and it's just a bad matchup for them, and it's the one I didn't want to see in the tournament. With saying that with my brain, there's still so many ways that Auburn can win this basketball game on Saturday. And if they win on Saturday, I wholeheartedly believe they can beat Houston again. And I think they're a better team than Duke. I know Duke has 6 NBA players. They have Cooper Flag. They have all this. Auburn, at their best, can play with the same defensive intensity as Duke. And Janai Broome can score. He can make more of an impact on a game as a scorer than Cooper Flag can at this point in their respective careers. And I think that's what separates Auburn from Duke there. I'm worried about Florida. The guards match up well. Will Richard, Clayton, and Elijah Martin match up super well with Pettiford, with Miles Kelly, with Denver Jones, and with Chad. The front court matches up well. It's just a terrible matchup. What Auburn needs to do to win this basketball game, Miles Kelly needs to have a game where he makes 5 threes early. He makes another 3 in the second half. Maybe not 8 total. That might be a little too optimistic there. Miles Kelly needs to score 20 points. He needs to have one of those games. Chad Baker-Mazara needs to control the ball. He needs to control this game. He may only score 5 points, but if Chad Baker-Mazara can get 6 rebounds, he can get 4 assists, he can have 2 steals, and just be that on-ball presence that he has been throughout his Auburn career and do it to the best of his ability, Auburn will win this basketball game. And Janai Broome obviously needs to be healthy. I'm worried about the matchup, but I have full confidence Auburn can get by Florida and then get by Duke or Houston.
Brian, I'm with you. No, I mean, I am more worried about Florida than I would be Duke or Houston on the other side. And that's not to say that they're not great teams too, but Florida, they beat us in our home court. They do match up extremely well against us. You know, you put one of our players up against one of theirs, they've got a matchup, 1 through, what is it, like 8 that both of us can run. It's really impressive. Very similar teams. I mean, it makes sense too. Todd Golden coming from the Bruce Pearl tree. Yes, I will say that here right now. So, it makes sense. He took a version of what Bruce likes to run, and he has it there in Florida, and it's a phenomenal team. To me, this game is going to come down to the shooters for Auburn. Like you said, Miles Kelly needs to have 20. He had 22 in the matchup against Florida earlier in the season. He's going to have 22 again. The difference is Denver Jones can't have 2 points. Denver Jones needs to have an offensive impact. If we can get 8 to 10 out of him, we would have won that Florida game earlier in the season. So, that's to me, as great as Denver is on defense, we're going to need to see some offense from him. We're going to need to see offense from Tahad, from Chad, and certainly from Miles. So I think the guards really need to have a great day because we're going to get it from Janai. Regardless of the injuries, this is, he thought that was going to be the last game of his college basketball career. He's coming into this one super ready. He's playing. There's no doubt about that. Maybe he's limited, but he's not going to act like it. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, and just a caveat to that, if Denver Jones has 2 points and he holds Walter Clayton to 10, I'd take that. Walter Clayton's the best player left in this tournament, at least the way they're playing right now. And he did what he wanted in that first matchup in Neville Arena. If you can just bother him a little bit, and he can have his 20, but if it takes him 20 shots to get there, that's fine. Just don't let him get 20 on like 5 of 11 from 3 and some free throws. That can't happen.
Yeah, and the last thing I'm going to say, Brian, I don't want to hear your response to this, but we need to box out. We need to rebound, keep Condon and Hauk off the boards. That was a huge killer in our first matchup. We have to rebound better. And we have been rebounding like crazy in this tournament so far. Very impressed with how we dealt with the big men in Michigan, Vlad and Danny Wolf, those 2 7-footers. Extremely impressive how we were able to grab those rebounds. Dylan Cardwell playing his butt off.
He's playing the best basketball of his life. Dylan Cardwell's playing the best basketball of his life.
I'm gonna say he looks like a Rodman out there. His job is to get out there, be big, be physical, set screens, and grab boards.
He's been, oh man, I just want them to do it for Chuma. Do it for Bruce Pearl. Do it for the guys in 2019 that couldn't get it done. And immortalize yourself in Auburn sports history.
So they released a ranking the Final Four starters. I don't know if you guys saw that on Twitter. The 20th player, right? Because there's 4 teams, 5 starters on the court. 20th would be the worst starter. I don't know who did the ranking. I don't know how they came up with it. Your boy Denver Jones was number 20. I even thought that was
it's a little disrespectful.
Yeah, right? Like,
yeah,
Brian, you've been going
no
on and on about this guard play for the last 6 months, it feels like. Denver Jones, the 20th best starter out of the teams remaining based on this ranking, which College Basketball Report has a pretty big following. I thought that was disrespectful for sure. Cooper Flagg was ranked number 1, Janai Broome 2, Walter Clayton 3. The only other Auburn Tiger to make the top 10.
Pettiford has to be in the top 10.
He's not a starter.
Yes. Yeah, he's also not a starter.
Oh, is it just ranking?
He's not even
I thought you just said top 20, and you were essentially saying the starters.
No, it's just ranking the starters.
Then how the hell is Denver Jones below Cardwell?
Wild. Dude,
well,
this
and
is
that's
like a legit ranking.
And when Matt first started this, he said, they're ranking the 5 starters on each team. My immediate thought was, okay, well, that's not going to have Tahad in it. He's our 6th man playing 20 minutes off the bench.
I heard it wrong. I thought you were saying essentially it's all the starters.
But look, whoever made that list clearly is not respecting the defense that Denver Jones brings. He's been one of the best on-ball perimeter defenders, in the league this entire season. I don't know what they're watching.
He also averaged double digits this year.
College Basketball Report.
Points, yeah, did he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's been scoring 10 points. I was going to say he's been scoring about 10 points a game in the tournament, so that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, we got to get those guys on and just ask them what the hell they were thinking.
Yeah, so their response to Denver at 20, because obviously some people had some issues with that.
Yeah, I bet.
In particularly, Janai Broom fan account was very upset. He said, Denver at 20, bro, be for real. And college basketball's response was, remember that these are 4 best teams in the country. Everybody getting tick is elite. It's also harder to gauge Auburn because they have 2 of, if not the best bench players in the country.
Meaning
You guys respond to
Tahad
that?
and Cheney.
Yeah, Todd and Cheney. But that still doesn't explain Dylan Cardwell over Denver Jones. And Dylan Cardwell's playing the best basketball of his life, but he's not a better basketball player than Denver Jones.
So where do you guys think Baker Mazzara landed on this list?
In that
13?
top 20 list, yeah, he should be somewhere around 13, maybe 15.
8.
Okay, that's respectful. Yeah, these guys don't watch Auburn.
In between Elijah Martin and Thomas Hauk.
Hauk.
I'm not saying that.
That's his name.
Yeah, Cardwell was 17. Miles Kelly was 18. Sion James was 19. And then Denver Jones was 20.
They just hate Auburn.
That's terrible. They also don't watch Auburn because if you're watching Auburn basketball this season and you're putting Chad over Miles Kelly, you're on crack. Simple as that.
I'd put Chad over Miles Kelly.
No, you wouldn't. For this season?
Just because what he does, Miles Kelly is a scorer, and he also rebounds, but Chad is like that on-ball player that can affect the game in so many ways. Like, Chad doesn't need to score to have a huge effect on a game. And I think that's what kind of sets him apart.
Maybe I'm a little upset with Chad, and maybe that's blind to me right now, but he hasn't been playing the same. I definitely would take if I had to choose one person to take. I guess I'm thinking scoring, but if I'm choosing one person to take the last shot for me on this Auburn team, I want it to be Miles Kelly
over Tahad.
Maybe.
I think
Tahad's not a starter. Tahad's not a starter here. So
okay, so you said team. It depends what kind of shot it is. If it's a mid-range, I want Broom. If it's a 3, I think I want Tahad. If it's
there's 5 seconds left, Brian, you got to make a shot.
Miles Kelly.
I want Tahad with the ball to try to make a move. If he's not open, I want him to find Miles Kelly
for a catch and shoot. Okay, you know what? Fair enough, because that's exactly what I would draw up to.
I like Miles Kelly's confidence.
Yeah,
and the way
ice
he can
cold.
just pull and hit the shot is great. But I was talking about Duke a little bit, right? I mean, Cooper Flagg's obviously the center point of their entire team, but Concanoople has been lights out for them, and the exact sidekick, is that fair to say, to Cooper Flagg, and that's exactly what they need. They seem like an unstoppable duo right now. And then you throw in Tyrese Proctor. I really don't know what team is stopping this Blue Devil team.
Yeah, I think Concanople's not getting enough credit. I think everybody's so enamored with Cooper Flagg that they're not realizing that Canople's probably just as good and has been playing better.
Knipple.
Yeah. It's Knipple.
Yeah.
All right, how about you Knipple his dick? I think that Knipple has been
trying to help you out.
All right, my bad.
That was pretty wild. Aggressive.
I think he's been just as good, if not better, than Cooper Flagg in this tournament so far.
Yeah, definitely in that Elite 8 game, he took it over. And there's 3 more of him. We're gonna have to be dealing with Knipples at Duke for the next decade. It's gonna be the Plumleys all over again, except these guys can score.
Yeah, I did see that. But Matt, look, Duke is a phenomenal team. If it's not Auburn, if it's not Florida, I would think it's Duke. I mean, look, we've been saying it all year, but these are the 4 best teams, and Duke, they have They have a phenomenal team. On any given night, Proctor's on. They're going to be tough to deal with. If they're getting to the free throw line, Cooper Flagg and Knuppel seem to be getting to the free throw line 20 times a game. If they keep doing that, they're not going to lose a basketball game. And got to give a lot of credit to John Shire trying to fill in those shoes from Coach Kagan. I think he's doing a pretty phenomenal job, at least right now.
Yeah, he
at the
is.
same time, you still have Houston, who's a bunch of seniors like Auburn. They play the best defense maybe of all time, and they can actually score this year. And you're going to be playing a bunch of freshmen, so maybe they just bully Duke, and then we see Houston in the championship. Like, I could totally see that too.
They could absolutely out physical this Duke team.
I'm really glad you brought that up, Brian, because I was going to say, to kind of wrap up the Final Four here, we're not talking about Houston, but what are their keys? What is their angle to not only beating Duke, which is an extremely tall task, but winning this, mini semifinal tournament here?
Emmanuel Sharp and LJ Cryer are just making shots. They're going to play the defense. It's can they take advantage in their highly efficient yet extremely slow offense to make the shots, because Duke's going to make shots, and Auburn and Florida, whoever gets by that game, is going to make shots too. But Houston's going to play defense, and they're going to hold their opponent to 60, 65, 70 points. So can you score enough?
Yeah, Houston's got to be physical. They just got to be physical with Duke, and without getting the whistle, I think that's going to be a very interesting element to this game, to this Duke Houston game, is the whistle and the refs. What are they giving this Houston team as far as the physicality goes? They're gonna be bumping. They're gonna be playing really hard. That's what Kelvin Sampson preaches, and like we talked about a little bit earlier, San Antonio not too far away from Houston, so they will have somewhat of a home court advantage, you'd think. Duke fans travel well. Auburn fans travel well.
Everywhere. Duke fans are everywhere too. That's gonna be
Duke fans are everywhere. They travel well. Auburn fans travel well, and then Florida fans, whatever. Houston can absolutely win this game, though. They're gonna have to have the offense. That's been the question all year, but I think that they can be the team to out-physical them. But I don't think that they can out-physical Auburn, which is another reason why I would love to see Houston take down Duke and see them in the finals instead of Duke.
Yeah, that would be nightmare fuel for our guy, Nick Stewart, who would just have to pick between Auburn or Houston.
Yeah, you know what? We need to figure that out. Who would he go with? I mean, he went to Auburn. We're friends with him from Auburn, but he graduated from Houston. Who does he have love for?
Yeah, I was talking to him on, I guess, Monday, or maybe it was yesterday, Tuesday, and he didn't really give me an answer. He was just like, I'm going to have to hope it doesn't happen and then make up my mind if it does happen.
I don't like that.
He did say he can't be the guy that's like, I don't care who wins. I'm happy either way. He's going to have to pick a side. But I don't think he knows. I think he's just praying it doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's it would have to be Auburn, no? He went to Auburn.
He went to Auburn for a year, and then he transferred back home to Houston and graduated from Houston.
It's Houston all the way.
Yeah, it's like, do you go with your first
It's not even a question.
Or do you go with the team?
It's not. If it's Houston, Auburn, and he's rooting for Auburn to win that game based on where he went to school for 3 years and graduated, and you're going to tell me he's going to pick Auburn because he went there for a year and made some friends?
He's also from Houston.
Yeah, I think
it's Houston all the way. It's not even close.
Yeah, I think he would go with Houston. He just didn't want to. He didn't want to disappoint me.
Exactly. That's why he didn't give you an answer. That's understandable. I mean, I won't be happy if that happens and we play them and they win. I don't want to hear it from them, but respect. I'll respect it.
Yeah, and that's just the great part about this Final Four, because we're not going to have like a San Diego State taking on a UConn, or just like an 8 seed taking on a team we know is going to win. Like, any one of these teams can win, and that's what people have to remember with this chalky tournament as we get this Final Four.
And again, Brian, I feel like you're reading my mind here, because I was going to say, like, elaborate, articulate tell the people, talk to the people here. Like, I feel like people are kind of like underestimating, taking for granted what this Final Four is going to be. It's 4 number 1 seeds, 4 teams that can win it all, and just we are going to see such high level of competition trying to win. I get it. You have the NBA. I get it. The NBA play, but like these are 4 number 1 teams, all can win, high level. NIL's involved, so the rosters are loaded to beyond belief. I mean, people need to not take this weekend for granted and enjoy every minute of it.
So since Ken Palm's been doing his rankings, and it started in 1997, so 27, 28 years, out of the top 10 teams in those rankings of all time, these 4 teams all sit in this. Auburn's number 10, I believe Duke's number 3, and then Houston and Florida are 5 and 6. Like, that is insane. Absolutely insane. We're seeing this high level of basketball at this point in the season. Like, these are undoubtedly the 4 best teams. These are the 4 best teams that we've seen in like a decade. And they're getting the opportunity to fight against each other to win a championship in 2025. And whoever wins this undoubtedly deserves this. The road has been hard for everyone. They've all had to play good teams. And they've all gotten here pretty easily. I know Florida had their hiccups a bit. Houston almost lost to Gonzaga. Auburn was down at half by Creighton. But like for the most part, these teams have steamrolled their way here after steamrolling their way here all season. Houston, Florida, and Duke all won their conference tournaments, and they all won them pretty handedly. Auburn won the SEC regular season when it was the best league in history. They lost 4 games in the regular season. Like, these teams deserve to be here, and I am so excited for this basketball on Saturday.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolutely monster weekend.
This is going to be some of the best college basketball you have ever seen, you could have ever asked for. I mean, these are, like Brian said, 4 of the best teams of all time in college basketball. Any 4 of them deserve to win this. It's going to be awesome from tip-off until the last buzzer, man. I'm going to be watching every second of it. I got invited to a bonfire on Saturday night at 7 o'clock. I said, don't you know the Tigers are on at 6, dude? What the fuck is wrong with you?
The person who invited you
he went to West Virginia. They got screwed out of the tournament this year.
I think you got to block his number after that invitation.
Yeah, and a bunch of the
also at the same time he didn't go to Auburn, so.
And a bunch of the people going are all Texas Tech Red Raiders, and they got bounced last weekend, so they don't care about the Final Four anymore.
No, they don't. They're over this tournament, so maybe I don't blame them.
Yeah, bro. So
the West Virginia fan and the Texas Tech fans. One team got snubbed, and the other team blew a 10-point lead to go to the Final Four. I don't blame them for not wanting any part of this.
Yeah, that's probably the 2 schools that I wouldn't blame.
Yeah, that's actually
worst.
Really didn't think about it like that, but fair enough.
Yeah, I know we it's tough to have Brian's undivided attention here as the Mets are blowing a runner on third. I know Juan Soto's up and you're way ahead of me. Did they already blow it?
No, we got Soto up still. But this is why you paid him $800 million. So hopefully
it's a lot of money.
And he grounds out the third base. All right. Well, I'm going to go drink some bleach.
You know my main takeaway. Look at Tyler Phillips coming in, doing a job, gets traded in camp with the Phillies all year. Pitched for the Phillies, had a couple nice starts, and then got absolutely rocked. Traded to the Marlins, not for cash considerations. The Phillies said, "Hey, give us some money and you can have this guy." They sent him down to Miami. And now he's in there pitching in a huge spot. South Jersey native comes in and shuts down Juan Soto and the Mets. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, that should never happen. Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto failed to get a guy from third with 1 out. But it's April.
I mean, that's got to be this guy's career highlight. I mean, he did pitch actually a 9-inning shutout last year. So maybe that's not his highlight. What's up?
It'll make the reel. It'll make the highlight
Complete
reel.
game shutout is pretty damn
Complete game
impressive.
shutout last year with like nine or so strikeouts, and then he got kind of lit up. That like he looked promising, and then he started getting lit up. Brian, do you want to give people the bracket pool scenarios? I've been so checked out on that after.
Oh yeah,
my
good call.
Disastrous.
Let's see. I believe my sister has a decent shot at winning this thing, so we'll get some rigged comments.
Yeah, totally rigged.
Out of all of us, I think Jack will take it home. Jack cannot win, but he will finish in first place out of all the View staff, it looks like. So congrats to you, Jack.
Tim's got my number, right?
Yeah, if Auburn wins the championship, it'll be Mr. Tim. If Auburn wins the championship against Houston, it will be Mr. Tim. If Auburn wins the championship against Duke, my sister Nicole will win. And if Florida wins the championship, it will be Colin Finnegan. And if Houston wins the championship, it's our guy Russ. So a lot of scenarios left.
And what about Duke? What if Duke wins?
Didn't do the math quick enough, but maybe Kenneth St. Thomas. He is behind by a lot in points.
Okay.
Actually, no. Okay, if Duke wins, Kenny will win.
Okay. It's all about getting the champion, man. Everything else is just sprinkles.
My MLB TV also just froze as they're throwing home again to try to nab a runner to keep this thing tied. So my brain is in a pretzel.
Brian, do you want to take a shot at our stump the crowd question?
Stump the crowd question.
Yeah. Who became the fourth player in MLB history to win a Silver Slugger at 3 different positions, joining Miguel Cabrera, Albert Pujols, and Al Oliver?
3 different positions?
Yes, joining Miguel
Bryce
Cabrera.
Harper.
I don't know. It's all in the Phillies game, so Bryce Harper is a great guess. I don't know the answer. They didn't give it to me. It's just a FanDuel Casino Stump the Fans question.
They never threw Bryce Harper at catcher in the majors, did they?
No, but he played center field, right field, and first.
Yeah, I knew he used to catch back in high school. I knew that.
I was thinking Schwarber, but I don't think he played catcher long enough.
No.
Do they give Silver Slugger to DH?
Maybe. It also could not be Harper. It could be like some totally random question, but it's probably Phillies related.
Yeah,
I kind of figured it'd be Phillies since you brought it up.
I don't know who the hell it would be on the Rockies.
Yeah,
they had those
Troy
mid-2000s.
Yeah, I don't think he played enough. I was thinking like maybe if he played second, short, and third, but I don't think he played short even enough.
What about
Todd Helton? No, he just played first.
Charlie Blackmon. Oh,
do they do different outfield though?
Or is it just outfield?
It might just
be
3 outfield.
That's why it might not be Harper. It might just be outfield and first. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up. I have no idea.
That's why they.
What about
That's why it's stump the people question.
Yeah, Harper would be too obvious.
It could be Harper. It depends how. Well,
what about Trey Turner?
What the fuck was Albert Pujols' 3 positions?
No, he just played first. I think it's got to be like a.
It said Albert Pujols was one of them.
Okay, so then they have to give it to DH because it would be DH first and.
Did he
outfield.
Play third? He played third,
outfield.
I guess.
I think he was in right field for a little while.
No.
He could have played. I think third base makes the most sense.
Yeah, he played third.
I think you need like one of those corner infielders that would play third first, and then. Did Ryan
DH.
Zimmerman? No, because he would have never played DH.
And Miguel Cabrera, like, what did he? He was first.
He would have
DH
to be the same thing too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So DH
it's got to be
DH.
DH. It's got to be DH.
Damn, if the NL had a DH, Zimmerman probably would have been one.
Yeah. And then the other one would sound like a guy.
That's ridiculous. It's not a position. DH is not a position.
It is now.
No, it's not.
But
it's a designation.
Silver Slugger is a batting award. Silver Slugger is a batting award, and the DH is a batting position.
Yeah, I guess
it counts.
It's like the only award a DH can really win.
It's not like
never
you're
going to
giving
give
a gold
an MVP.
glove. It's like you're
Actually,
giving a
that's
gold
a lie.
glove to the DH.
Right. Yeah. I guess that's where I would have, more of an issue. But that doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, they're not giving him the Gold Glove to a DH.
It just sounds weird to give
You know,
somebody like
There's
props
someone
for being a
listening or
a
DH.
watching
batting.
that knew it right away.
It's a
and they're just
batting
yelling at-
award given to a batting position. I don't think it's that bad at all.
Yeah.
I get it. You can think it's weird because they're not doing everything that maybe a third or first baseman would be doing or an outfielder would be doing.
Yeah, maybe Shohei
Right, I mean,
Ohtani
look at-
shouldn't have won the MVP.
Look at Rafael Devers. Totally new man that he's not, playing third base.
I forgot how to hit.
Yeah, same with Bregman. He hasn't hitting anything either. The Red Sox just suck. We can talk about them being a team super shocking people.
Yeah, not a great start for them either. Only one win.
No, not at all. I think that's where we wrap it up there. More of a laid back, chill show for sure. But that's what you're going to get as we roll into these spring and summer months. I don't know that we have too much to get into. The NFL draft will probably be our next best. I don't know. I'm not an Auburn fan. Blame Brian and Jack for not just fucking throwing shit at the wall and getting fired up. I guess we'll wait till after Monday night or after Saturday for that reaction. But
Yeah, I mean, if they win, you'll get some good. If they lose, I mean, we'll have something to say. But it's just
Yeah.
like you
no,
said.
you
we've
already
been talking
you
about this for
already
6
you
months.
already made your bed with the if they lose, still be proud of this team. Final four was where they needed to go. You already we know you already made the bed.
Oh, Brian. Shouldn't have said that one.
I stand by
You
that,
already made the bed.
and I stand by it. I'll probably be upset if they lose, and I'll find an
I
angle
made the
that they
final
should have
four.
won.
It's fine.
I'm proud of
Whatever
them.
happens.
It's gonna be hard. We just talked about how all these teams are so good. It's gonna be really hard to win this thing.
It is. It definitely is. But with that said, everybody enjoy the games. It will be something special to watch, and then obviously setting up the granddaddy of them all on Monday night. That's all I got. Let's go, Phils. Peace out, everybody.
War Eagle. Beat the
Got one
Gators.
more. Sorry. War Eagle.